Qatar is an emirate in the Middle East in the northeastern part of the Arabian Peninsula. It borders with Saudi Arabia. Almost the entire territory of the country is desert. The climate is continental tropical, dry. Losail International Autodrome, located near the capital Doha, was built in a year. To meet the deadline, 1,000 employees worked around the clock. The opening of the track and the first race was held on October 2, 2004. The cost of the original project, $58 million, but in 2007 at the Autodrome installed a system of artificial lighting, which for some time was considered the largest. But then the system on the track Yas Marina in Abu Dhabi. The first competition of cars with open wheels was held in 2009, when the Autodrome hosted the stage of the Winter Series, GP2 Asia. In 2021 in Losail came Formula One. The stage took a place in the tense and interesting end of the season, deciding the fate of the championship title. The race in Qatar is the third round in the Middle East on the season calendar. The main sessions of the weekend will start after sunset and will take place under artificial light. It is the sixth and final round on the season calendar, with Saturday's sprint. Talks that in Qatar want to take first tests, and then the Grand Prix of Formula One began in 2008. Then a modernization project was developed to bring the track to meet the requirements of the FIA. To demonstrate the seriousness of their plans, the organizers held a stage of GP2 Asia, but then the talks subsided for political reasons. The contract with Formula One was signed in September 2021, and immediately 10 years. In 2022, the race was decided not to hold. Qatar hosted the World Cup, and the term of the contract began to count in 2023. There will be no champagne at the awards ceremony. The organizers will provide the riders on the podium with non-alcoholic soda. Losail is a narrow speedway designed for motorcycle racing, with a predominance of fast and medium-speed corners. Only in one corner, in the sixth, the minimum speed drops below 100 kilometers per hour. There are no serious brakes on the track. This is its unique feature. Behind the wheel of wide Formula One, cars with sensitive aerodynamics, it is difficult to overtake. The only suitable area to fight for position, a kilometer-long starting straight with the only DRS zone. About this track, Max Verstappen said, "This track is interesting to race on, but the weekend will be difficult for all of us because of the hot weather. The high temperatures will be a key factor. The weekend will be run in a format with Saturday's sprint, so it's important to get as much information as possible in the only practice session." The kilometer-long straight is complemented by 16 high-speed corners, in which the tires will work hard and wear quickly. The teams will have to find the traditional compromise between downforce and speed. The bunch of 12 to 14 corners has a triple apex, effectively one tight right-hander, a bit like the famous 8th corner in Turkey, but twisted in a different direction. Before the 2023 round, the organizers have increased the capacity of the grandstands, expanded parking, fan and VIP areas, including the Formula One Paddock Club. The Paddock Medical and Media Center were renewed. The number of boxes was increased. Along the track, new mesh safety fences were installed by the Swiss company Geobrug, which meet FIA Grade 1 standards and provide a good view from the stands. Pre-stage comments, Lando Norris. "I'm looking forward to returning to Qatar. Last year's stage was very good for us, and this time we want to do even better. Besides, we have the final sprint stage of the season waiting for us, and we will try to earn as many points as possible. The team is fully focused on achieving a result in the final two stages of the season. The track and weather conditions in Qatar are better suited to us than at the last round, so I'm interested to see what results we will achieve. There are 2 races left to go. Let's do it." Oscar Piastri. "Qatar is next. I'm happy to be back at this circuit, where another sprint weekend awaits us. Last year I won a sprint here, and I'm wondering what result we'll get this time. There are 2 stages left in the season, and we know what we have to do. This weekend, we have to perform stronger than in Las Vegas. So we are ready to continue to work and maximize our efforts in the fight for the Constructors' Cup." Andrea Stella, team principal. "After a difficult weekend in Las Vegas, we head to the penultimate round of the season. Weather conditions and the track in Qatar suit our car, so we are ready to maximize all opportunities, especially in the sprint, where there will be played additional points. Our goal to win the Constructors' Cup remains unchanged, and the fight is fiercer than ever. There are 3 teams vying for the title, so every point counts. We remain focused, and will do everything we can to get the job done. Frédéric Vasseur, team manager. From Las Vegas, surrounded by cold desert, having reduced the gap from McLaren in the Constructors' Cup to 24 points, we go to the second race of the final series of 3 consecutive stages, which will be held in Losail, where much warmer. But it's not just the change of climate. The track itself is also quite different. If the city ring consisted of 90-degree turns and long straights, but now we will have to race on the track where a lot of fast turns, passing which theoretically is not the strongest side of the SF24. Also included in the Qatar Grand Prix program is the last sprint of the year. As always, this means that the preparation stage, which takes place at the bases of the teams, is more important than usual because we will have only 1 practice session at our disposal. We can earn 59 points over the weekend, but it's not time to do the math yet. While we must try to do everything perfectly, providing Charles and Carlos the opportunity to squeeze out of the car all that is capable of SF24. Formula One now works at a very high level. We see this, including the example of recent races. Even minor nuances affect the result, and the balance of power can change quite significantly. It's time for the final push, ahead of the final 2 weekends of the season, and our drivers, engineers, and in general, all employees of the team who work on the track and at the base in Maranello are ready to give their best to achieve the maximum possible results. Max Verstappen. Winning the World Championship was an incredible moment, and I am very proud of the team and myself. This success means a lot to us because I never thought I could become a 4-time world champion. I thank everyone who has been a part of this success. What a season we've had. We went through tough moments, but stayed united, never gave up, and came back stronger. All of this made the season so special. When it comes to Qatar, we are still focused on the race. The sprint format means we have a busy weekend ahead of us. The season isn't over yet, and we want to keep attacking and earn as many points as possible for the team in the next 2 races. Sergio Perez. The weekend in Las Vegas was positive from the point of view that we had the pace in the race, and we looked more competitive throughout. As for the 2 remaining Grand Prix, we need to do better in qualifying, and make sure that the car was constantly in the optimal operating range so that I could start from those positions from which I should. In Qatar, we'll have to solve completely different problems than in Las Vegas, so it will be interesting to see how the machine will show itself on a different asphalt in completely different temperature conditions. The format of the weekend with a sprint means that we have less time to prepare, but this week I was at the base of the team to prepare as best as possible for the start of work on Friday. Toto Wolff. We are looking forward to the penultimate race of the season in Qatar after the winning double in Las Vegas. The team did a great job over the 3 days in the USA. We were fast throughout the weekend and performed well on Saturday night. George started from pole and controlled the race. He piloted brilliantly and had the speed to spare. Lewis bounced back after starting from 10th position and guaranteed the team 1st and 2nd places on the podium. A brilliant result is exactly what we needed at the end of the season, and it was the result of hard work and determination from everyone in the team. It's hard to find more different stages than Las Vegas and Qatar. The Losail circuit has plenty of high-speed sections and few, if any, serious braking zones. Even though the race is later than last year, it will still be very hot. This contrasts with the cooler weather and the many slow sections of the track in Las Vegas. Either way, we are aiming for a strong performance this coming weekend. The W15 car is better suited to tracks with lots of fast corners, such as Silverstone and Spa. The cool weather in Las Vegas gave us an advantage, but the track configuration in Qatar should suit the strengths of our car. We know that our rivals will be stronger than last weekend, but we will try to get the car into working range and fight in the front rows. Esteban Ocon. The team had a difficult race in Las Vegas last week. Throughout the weekend, the car lacked grip and the tires were prone to degradation, but I managed a good lap in qualifying in 11th time. I had a good start, but a mistake on the first pit stop set me back and I couldn't get back on track and earn points. It was a difficult race for everyone because of the weather and the time of day, so a big thank you to the team for their hard work in trying to earn points. I'm looking forward to returning to Qatar. The weather conditions will be drastically different than they were in Las Vegas. Moving the race to a later date than 2023 means it won't be as hot. We'll be treated to the final sprint weekend of the season. Every minute on the track will be important, and we need to try to maximize the efficiency of Friday's practice to pick up the settings for the weekend. Last year, the team achieved a good result. 8th place in qualifying and 7th in the race. We will try to repeat this form this weekend and fight for points at the penultimate stage of the season. Pierre Gasly. The early crash in Las Vegas was a disappointment for everyone in the team. After a strong performance in qualifying, we had high hopes for the race and expected to fight, but we were unable to show our true potential and crashed out. We learned a lot last weekend, and will apply this knowledge in the final 2 rounds of the season, in which we want to perform as well as possible, given the fight for 6th place in the Constructors' Cup. I'm happy to be back in Qatar and to be back behind the wheel after a difficult weekend in Las Vegas. The Losail track is fast and smooth. I like to pilot on them. At the end of the long straight, there are opportunities for overtaking, but for the rest of the lap in the fast corners, it will be difficult to closely pursue the rivals. We will try to keep the pace gained at the previous stages and fight for points this weekend. Since the final stage of the season with the sprint is ahead, it will be important to join the fight right away in Friday's practice. I have performed well every year in Qatar, including in the sprint, and I am looking forward to continuing our streak of reaching the final qualifying and maintaining a high position in the race. Kevin Magnussen. The race in Qatar is the most difficult of the season. The unique speedway is more suited to motorcycles than Formula One cars. It's smooth in its own way. It's as if you're not braking before a corner, but floating from one to the next. The last round with the Saturday sprint of the season is coming up, and the change of time zones will not be an easy task. Last year it was the opposite. We were going from Qatar to America. You can't avoid it. It's hard to adapt to it. You just have to get over it. Nico Hülkenberg. Last year's race in Qatar was the first after my return, where I felt unwell. The heat and humidity by the finish was prohibitive. This season the stage is almost 2 months later, so the conditions will be better. The track has an interesting configuration. It is smooth, has a good rhythm, and since we are waiting for the final sprint of the season, and we will win more points than usual. Yuki Tsunoda. Since the second practice in Las Vegas, we began to understand better how to work with the machine. I hope it will be the same this weekend. I'm optimistic that we'll have a strong run in the upcoming race, even though we're moving from a track with long straights and 90-degree turns to a track with fast and flowing corners. It was very hot in Qatar last year, but it didn't really affect me. This year the stage is a month later, so the weather will be more comfortable. Last year all racers could drive a maximum of 18 circles on one set of tires because of problems with poor braking. But now the problem is solved, so the strategy for the race will be developed from scratch. Before qualifying for the sprint, we are waiting for only one practice, so I will focus on the speed of the car so that we can continue the fight for 6th place in the Constructors' Cup. Liam Lawson. Qatar is a difficult track, and last year's race was almost the most difficult for me that season. The temperatures were very high, and I'm hoping for cooler weather this year. But the track is very fast, so I'm looking forward to the stage. The weekend is in a sprint format, which makes it difficult. There is a lot of work to be done to find the optimal settings already for qualifying for the sprint. This weekend we must earn points, as the team continues to fight for 6th place in the Cup of Constructors. To do this, we need to try to squeeze out of the machine the maximum possible. Alex Albon. The last few months turned out to be difficult for me and the team, but the season is not over, and hopefully we will finish it with a high result. We head to Qatar for the final sprint stage of the season. Last year we did well in the sprint, and I hope that our luck will return and we will have another good result. The track is relatively new for many riders, and there will be plenty of opportunities to fight during the weekend. Also, thanks to the change in stage date, this time the temperatures will not be as high as last year, so the reliability and speed characteristics of the car should be a bit different for all of us. Franco Colapinto. I am ready for the penultimate race of the season in Qatar. This is the last sprint weekend, and I will have minimal time to learn a new track. On the other hand, there will be an extra opportunity to fight for points in the sprint. The goal is to maximize the efficiency of the only practice session and find the optimal settings. I am sure that the heat and humidity will play its role. The whole team will continue to give their best to finish the season as strongly as possible. Valtteri Bottas. We have performed well in Qatar in the past, and I have fond memories of the 2023 race, when the team had one of the strongest weekends of the season. You have to find a good rhythm on this circuit, and the weather conditions play an important role too. We are not expecting the same extreme weather as last year, but we will still take this factor into account. I am optimistic. The race weekend in Las Vegas turned out to be difficult, but the team showed encouraging signs, and I hope that we will achieve something more. On the Qatar track, every little thing can make a difference, so we need to work perfectly in all sessions, especially in the sprint format weekend. The goal is clear: to be competitive, fight for points, and finish the year with a high result. Guangyu Zhou. I'm looking forward to the race in Qatar. I like this track, and last year I climbed to 9th place after starting from the last positions, which gave me a good feeling. The combination of fast corners and artificial light gives the drivers an incredible experience, and the weather made last year's race one of the toughest of the season. Speaking of Las Vegas, we showed true potential at times, especially in qualifying. Our priority for the upcoming weekend is to realize the starting positions into a high result in the race. I'm focused on adding steadily, squeezing the most out of each session, and taking every opportunity to earn points. We've worked hard throughout the year, and I hope to be rewarded for that work before the end of the season. The final round of the season in Qatar promises to be intense and dramatic. All teams and drivers realize that every session, every lap can have a decisive impact on the final result, especially with limited preparation due to the sprint format. The leading drivers, such as Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, and others, are set to fight for points, which could be decisive in the battle for the world title or the Constructors' Cup. Every year, the Losail race becomes an increasingly important event in the Formula One calendar, attracting spectators and fans not only from the region, but also from around the world. The track, although it has a unique configuration with fast corners and kilometer-long straights, continues to test the mettle of both drivers and cars, demanding precision and a high level of preparation from the team. Weather will, of course, remain an important factor this weekend. Although temperatures will be more comfortable in 2024 than last year, the heat and humidity can still pose challenges, especially with night racing and limited preparation time. Formula One, as always, is not only an arena for intense title contention, but also a unique platform for each driver to showcase their skills. Qatar, with its challenging circuit and challenging conditions, will decide not only the fate of the champions, but also much strategically for the teams that will continue to fight for the top spot in the Constructors' Cup. The race promises to be one of the most exciting stages of the season, and although there is unlikely to be champagne on the podium, there will be no less passion on the track. This year it will be to see which drivers and teams will be the best in the final battle for points and titles. Who do you think will win the Qatar Grand Prix this season? Share your prediction. How do you assess the impact of the weather on the races in Qatar? Will it be a deciding factor for the results? Share your opinion in the comments. Thank you for watching this video to the end. And to not miss the latest news from the world of Formula One, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos.